to a certain way of thinking about culture, which is very narrow and limiting, and in many ways, yes, Stalinist. You know. I'm not. I'm trying to say anything could happen as of Sunday. I'm not. In fact, most of the people that I know who are, in fact, close advisors of Doña Xiomara and others, we are very prepared for all kinds of things. I mean, I go Sunday, and under various types of security and even exit plans. So.
That raises the question, if I may. Last night, Patrick and Ian and you and I were talking about this in these terms, that what happens to Zelaya in part is due to his movement towards ALBA, towards Chavez.
Okay.
From 2007 onward, there was a perception among right-wing forces in Honduras that, socialism or communism has arrived, and Chavez is pulling the strings on the country and so on. It is not the case now.
No.
So what difference is that likely to make in the results of Sunday's election? If there isn't that perception anymore of fear, of danger.
Well, that's part of the problem the right has. Because unlike 2008, certainly by spring of 2009, today there is no Chavez. And not only that, I think the United States Embassy, which is a key player in all this, the right realizes that the United States Embassy is not going to support a coup. In fact, it would not even support my view. It's not only mine, but people deep inside who talk with Kubinsky and others, the U.S. ambassador, even a fraud. And so, from that side, we're optimistic. On the other hand, there are people who are crazy, though, who in a moment of danger, you could have factions who say, we can't allow this. Right? So that could, if something like that begins to happen, no matter what, I think it would be stopped, but I think those of us who are going to be there at that moment, no one wants to see even that possibility, right? Because it would lead to confrontations. But I think it's a very different situation now. Not only that, Obama's been around a little bit more. When the coup happened, it was in June of 2009. Obama had been to Latin America, been to Trinidad and Tobago. That's where Hugo Chavez handed him, the open veins of Latin America and so forth and so on. Michelle Bachelet will probably be winning. There are a whole bunch of things that have the FMLN won in June, and El Salvador is still there, right? It's like, now remember, in Honduras, in fact, one of the reasons there was a coup in Honduras, not just because of Chavez, the FMLN won in June, early June, I think June 6th with the elections or something like that. From the point of view of the right in Honduras, the FMLN had just won very close. And Ortega's is over here, and you got the FMLN over here. The FMLN probably will lose. And guess what? You have Arenac and so forth. And so that's not a good thing either. But the point is that the FMLN being in power did not lead to the sort of apocalyptic view that many people on the right in Honduras saw themselves in. You have a president moving to the left, presumably wrongly, but being manipulated by Chavez, and you have Ortega over here, and you have FMLN here, and Guatemala is just looming right there, always volatile. And so today, that's a very, very different world. Now, again, it doesn't mean that you could have a faction of them. In fact, there's a new party. The military person, Gallo the general, Romeo Vázquez Velázquez, founded a party. It's called Alianza Patriótica. And it's basically, his major advisors are all people colonels and captains from the Honduran military. One of them's name is Billy Hoya. And Billy Hoya was one of the people identified, and in fact, eventually was left in Honduras, people who tortured people in the 1980s and possibly disappeared my own cousin. And so I had a cousin who was disappeared many years ago. And so there's a party who could move in that direction, because despite this sort of strategic scenario against it, people will do, look what happened, look in Chile in 1970, Allende wins, they tried to kidnap Schneider, right? Remember that? Right? General Schneider, and then what happened? They killed him and so forth and so on. Now, not all the Chilean military was for that, but there was a faction that went in that direction. You could see that in Honduras.
Can you give us a general view of what is going on Sunday? Who are these parties? Who are these factions? I mean, who's on the ballot?
Well, let me see, there are 7 political parties. In 2005, there were, actually there are 9. In 2005, there were 4. So there are 5 new parties. One of them is Libre, which has grown enormously and has got a good chance of winning. Huh? Oh yeah, yeah. And then there are, for example, there's a party called El Partido de Anticorrupción, which is anti-corruption party, which is led by a very strange and complicated figure named Salvador Narrala, who has done everything from being a soccer commentator to hosting a game show on television, among other things. There is another party called Alianza Patriótica, which is led by a general who led the coup. There is a party, another party called PAC, which is a Partido Amplio, right? It's Andrés Pavón, who was a former human rights worker, who's now just doing and saying all kinds of crazy things, as possibly an alliance with one of the older parties. I could detail them all, but as we go into Sunday, the range of personalities and strange figures is an extraordinary moment. And many friends and have told me, why are you going on Sunday? I said, well, someone who, first of all, went through one of the coups and is a historian of modern Honduras, where else would I be? Maybe at home, but can you imagine me sitting in Hartford watching the Honduran results? And no, I got to be there. Now, of course, that carries its risk, but hey, life is complicated. I think Libre will not win the presidency, but I think Libre will win lots of deputies and lots of mayors and so forth. And that's, in my view, a very important and huge advance. I have a long-term view of these things. I think, unfortunately, too many people in Libre and people on the left in some broad version do not. It's like if we don't win the presidency, it's all over. It's no, you should look for the long term. But that's my sense. Now, do I want Doña Xiomara to win? Yes. And not just first of all, having a woman president, I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for, well, not just for women, for men and women, a whole bunch of things. So, but we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for Sunday. Thank you very much for paying attention.
All right, I guess I don't need the microphone. All of you know me, and you know I've been the guy concerned with Syria in Madison.